Other federal and state funded programs.
WHBC AM Canton, reliable as ever, powered by Friends and Family Credit Union. It's time to bring a friend into the family on News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Roosters is the great sponsor of the Kenny and JT Show here on 1480 WHBC. Time to join the flock.
Residency.
Hold on.
What?
I got to stop you right there.
Uh-oh. Jeez, how do we even get in this?
And before we get to Joe Klecko, I got you a water, but
Yeah.
I got to figure out when we're going to do this interview, I got to wear one or two of my Jets jerseys.
Okay.
It's either the green. Is that the home uniform or is that the away?
No, white was home.
Okay. Well, I got Don Maynard.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Number 13.
And I got Brett Favre.
Oh, Favre.
Yeah.
Yes.
So which one would you prefer I wear for this interview?
I
love Don Maynard.
Go with the Hall of
Go
Fame.
ahead.
Well, they're both Hall
They're
of
both
Famers.
Hall
What
of
am I
Famers.
saying?
Yeah.
But there you go.
Brett's
Okay.
career in New York was not Hall of Fame.
No, it was not. Very good. And the man that just said that is Joe Klecko. He joins us as part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame residency program. So happy to have him on board with us here today and in town. All right, go ahead. Talk about your jersey. And
I
you're
need
like
mutton
a
chops,
little kid.
don't I? I need some more hair, don't I? If I won't be Don Maynard, man.
Yeah.
It's so great having you in studio because I'm not a Jets fan, but I have more Jets gear than any other team in the NFL. Grew up being a Browns fan. My brother liked the Cowboys. There was a point in time where I was a front runner. I liked the Minnesota Vikings. They never won anything. So I just went away with the Browns moving. I started to gravitate towards the other local team, not the Pittsburgh Steelers, because everybody's a Steeler fan because they won all those Super Bowls. So I ended up being a Detroit Lions fan. But somehow, some way, Don Maynard, Joe Namath, Joe Klecko, let's go Jets!
It's almost unbelievable to have anybody out here that actually will be a really Jet fan. I had two guys in luncheon today dressed in Joe Namath jerseys. I was taken back by that. I really was. I was surprised to even see them have the guts to wear that. You know, it really was.
Yeah. Well, Broadway Joe. Everybody loves Broadway Joe, right? But you know what? When I think of the Jets, I grew up in Pittsburgh, so it's okay for me to be a Steelers fan, right? And I think about the sack exchange. I mean that's I'm growing up in the
Very
70s
good.
and 80s, and boom, and here you are in studio with us as part of that. And we were talking about you earlier, where a sack wasn't even a part of the NFL statistic or conversation until 1982.
Yeah.
And the year before that, you had 20 and a half of them were Defensive Player of the Year, right?
Yeah, and it's amazing that I think we were the reason they made the sack an actual statistic. I think the year I had it at 20 and a half, Gastineau actually had 20.
Okay.
We are the only two defensive ends ever in the NFL history that had 20 sacks. Both of us had 20 sacks on the same defensive line.
In the same year. That's crazy.
Yeah,
wow. And so clear something up for us. He saw one AI report. I saw another AI report. You go to the New York Stock Exchange. Was it the sack exchange before that or after that? When did you guys become the official sack exchange? Was it before you went and rang the bell or no?
No, it was before. Yeah,
Okay.
It was
All right.
before, yeah.
All right.
Reason being is because the way they set it up was, but Pepper Burris, one of our trainers, actually, Pepper had this whole trading scenario about who was going to have more sacks, me or Mark,
Okay.
and who you're going to pick this week, and you're going to trade high on him or on him,
Interesting.
and that's what made it there's another guy out there that said it was his idea. I don't really know,
Okay.
and I don't really care,
Right.
So who's ever come up with the idea was a wonderful idea, I was involved with it. That's all I give a damn about.
It's a great marketing thing.
Yeah.
And, for me, and we mentioned Joe Namath and Don Maynard, but when you're playing in New York City and you've got everybody from Thurman Munson, a Canton guy, all the way to Reggie Jackson, here comes LT 1981. Does it ever strike you that you're in New York City and you're as big of an item as those guys are?
No, it really didn't. Reason being is because to me, Reggie Jackson, of course, as a hitter, was unbelievable. And then, the rest of the icons of New York, and again, like I said, LT was in our era, so he was part of what, part of the things that we were doing. But, their team was, we were on the same level as them at that time. And it went downhill a little bit after Walt Michaels got fired, our head coach, and Joe Walton came on board. It went downhill for us a little bit. And then, of course, Parcells had so many great years, with Sims and Taylor and so forth, that they changed the game a little bit.
Kenny and I have never been in New York City, believe it or not. So here in Cleveland or near Cleveland, we know the pecking order. Browns, Guardians, Cavaliers. In New York City, is there a pecking order between your hockey teams, your NBA teams, and your NFL teams? And if so, how does it go? Who's at the top?
Well, there's no doubt the
Yankees.
Yankees are at top. You
Okay.
know?
Right.
And then when it comes to football, we're always playing second fiddle to the Giants. Reason being is just Giants have been there. They're one of the original teams of the NFL. You know, Wellington Mara and the Chicago Bear owner of Hallis.
George Hallis.
They were two of the the major owners of the original NFL. You know, so we're always fighting. And of course, the AFL came along. The Jets came along. And Joe Namath really made the AFL. He really did. Joe was the catalyst, throwing the football, white shoes, the whole bit. He made the AFL a thing of what it became now, and that's throwing the football around and more of an offensive game. And, whether people liked it or not, it became Joe was the catalyst of the AFL.
Throwing to that guy right there, number 13,
Yeah,
Don
exactly.
Maynard. 4,000 yards was unheard of back in
Exactly.
those days.
Yeah.
So I want to go back. Okay,
I fell over.
if you're watching on Facebook or on our YouTube channel, you can see JT put the number 13.
Why would
Don
they ever
Maynard
change
jersey
those
on.
uniforms?
What
were they thinking?
It's still beside me, I really don't.
Can't stand it.
But everybody has to put their touch on it. You know
All
what I
right.
mean? So,
Yeah, whether you like it or not,
Whether
they
you
sell
like it
it.
or
It's
not.
all about the money,
Exactly.
right?
All right.
So, Joe, I want to go back. Chester, Pennsylvania. Playing. How many sports did you play in high school?
No, in high school.
Yeah.
I actually went out for the baseball team, and it was the assistant athletic director who was the baseball coach, and I was a decent player in little league and stuff like that, he was so condescending to me. I quit the baseball team, and that's one of the reasons I wasn't playing anything in my senior year in high school, and I went out for football only 1 year, my senior year in high school, and that's all I ever played.
And that leads me into, every time we have somebody new here, the path to the Hall of Fame. It's different for everybody, right? You have the superstar high school guys, that take that path. You have the undrafted guys. We have Donnie Shelland, and that. And your path, from what you just told us, you play your senior year, right? You go basically without a Division I offer, right? And you end up.
I went with no offers.
None?
Not a single offer. Yeah, I got none. Yeah.
And so were you not even thinking then of playing college football? Is that
No.
why you became a truck driver?
That's exactly correct. And I mean, we didn't have any money, and there was no way my family was able to pay for a college education, and not like I was a graduate student, or nothing like that,
Right.
I wasn't heading for my doctorate yet, not yet, So, there was no real reason to worry about, playing football because I wasn't going to be able to go to college. And then I go to play semi-pro football for the Aston Knights under the assumed name, of Jim Jones from Poland University. Exactly.
Wait a second.
So, does that start your acting career? Is that
Wait,
where it
you know what
started?
was bad about the whole thing? It wasn't my thought process. It was the owner of the team.
Okay.
He knew that. I guess he understood the rule of the NCAA to where you're not allowed to get paid if you play in the end. And some of the guys on that team were getting paid. I was not. Who was going to pay me? Just the dumb kid rookie who come in here to play on the weekends like everybody else. So basically, he said to me, Joe, listen, it's better that you play under an assumed name because just in case they come after you later if you want to go to school. That's what he said to me. I said, oh, fine, great. He goes, well, why don't you how about Jim Jones from Poland University? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm a truck driver from Chester. I'm a young kid, playing a man's game in a way because the guys I'm playing with are either some of them went to college, two of them played for the Eagles, So it was a pretty good, league to be in, Wow. But it was a different aspect.
Okay, so you go play there, and then that's when you're noticed by Temple?
Yeah, but what happened was the equipment manager, who was part of our group, the Aston Knights, he was the equipment manager for Temple University. So he used to help us out, with equipment and stuff like that. And he went to Wayne Harden, and he said, who was the head coach of Temple at the time, Now you got to remember Wayne Harden. He had Joe Bellino and Roger Staubach. He's a Hall of Fame college coach.
Okay.
He's in the Hall of Fame, and the guy's got big credentials here. He watches me play one quarter after John tells him about me. He goes, "There's a kid playing Sandlot football better than anybody on your football team," and he's like, "Yeah, right." He came out to watch me play one quarter, and he gave me a full scholarship.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing because we had
Awesome.
Lou Picone on a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Special teams player with the Buffalo Bills. His path
He
to
was
the
with
NFL.
us, too.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
He played in Youngstown in one of the
Yeah.
semi-pro leagues.
Yeah.
So was that kind of like a norm then, like almost a stepping stone if you didn't go to college?
No, I don't think it was a stepping stone. I mean, because I did it, just really out of high school, and college was never even a thought process,
Wow.
of go to this and maybe it'll get to that. I never even looked at it that way. I just enjoyed playing football. It was fun, and I missed it, and then that's why I basically was going to try out and do it again.
Okay, so if you get to Temple, you end up being good. How do you decide that, hey, the NFL might come calling? When with the draft?
What happened was, the scouts started coming around, and they're asking for certain people to come out and run 40s, and they test you on all the things they would test you on. And what happened is they come out, and they're watching spring practice and everything like that, and I had my way with everybody just about, and so they noticed it, and they thought about, they started asking me questions, and the Eagles were talking to me, and they had the 5th round pick, and then right in front of us in the 6th round, they picked right in front of the Jets. So I'm looking, they're going to pick me in the 5th round. They're telling me, and they didn't pick me, and I'm like, oh, screw them. And so the Jets picked me later, right in the 6th round, right before the Eagles. They were going to pick me next, And Dick Vermeil had a great line with that. I was at an affair with them, and Dick was on the dais with me, and he was talking about how smart he was as a Hall of Fame coach, and he goes, well, if I was so smart, I'd have him, and he was picking everybody on the team back then. He goes, and he never, they didn't draft me, they let me go, and then it's funny because the next day I'm lying in bed, and it's like, and I'm married, I have a child, and my wife says, Joe, it's the Jets. I'm like, who? The programming back then wasn't loaded with, today, everybody's jock size, you know what I mean? It's amazing, I mean, back then, they're telling me, my wife said, if they want to talk to you, they just drafted you. I'm like, oh, shit, I'm like, I wasn't real happy about the whole thing,
Right.
But, it turned out to be not a bad move.
Not
That's
a bad
awesome.
move at all. Pro Football Hall of Famer Joe Klecko, class of 2023, in studio with us as part of the Hall of Fame residency program. And it's such a unique story from what we just heard from Joe as well. But we could play the 6 degrees of Joe Klecko because it goes in so many different ways. And we just found this out off. You sparred with Joe Frazier?
Yeah.
You were boxing champ, right? I knew
Yeah.
that, but Joe Frazier?
Yeah. I used to train, which was right up the street from Temple University. And when I used to go, I had one of the fellows who was a lawyer at Temple, had Michael Spinks as a fighter, which was Leon Spinks, his brother, and Sam Solomon, who was a renowned boxing trainer. He hired him to train me also when I was at Temple, in fighting, and that's basically how I got it. Yeah, and then we had a tough man competition in Vegas and all, and I trained for almost, I guess, about 4 or 5 months with Jerry Cooney. So Jerry and I
Rocky.
Jerry and I used to basically, spar almost every day. Listen, when I say spar, I'm not saying that we're going in there trading licks. These guys are pro fighters, the best of the best.
Right.
Jerry fought for the heavyweight championship of the world, and Joe was the heavyweight champion of the world. And I'm telling you, when I was even pushing Joe around, that's what we wanted me to do when I was sparring with him. They wanted me to push him around. He was like a rock, it was like unbelievable. And then it was funny because I was noted for my right hand, and knocking guys out, so I'm setting it up like I have a chance. I knock him down, Joe Frazier, so I'm going to set him up for my right hand. He's never seen this before, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm setting it up, and he jives and ducks, and he stops his left hook right next to my head, and he starts that laughing. Like you said, he said that, and he starts looking at me, and he's laughing at me, and I'm like, that's enough, I've had it, you know. I said, oh, guy could have killed me, you know what I mean? It was right there, you know.
Oh, man.
So it sounds really good when you say, Joe, you sparred Joe Frazier? No, I was in the ring with Joe Frazier.
Fair enough.
And that's about where it went.
That's
Jeff Shreve, who brought you to us today, good friend of ours at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, was telling us a story yesterday, and we looked it up, and we saw the clip from Smokey and the Bandit, and you acted with Burt Reynolds and Jackie Gleason. You got to share a story of one or both or whoever else was in that movie with you.
Well,
there's the picture.
Oh, yeah.
We're putting it up on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page.
I made that hat famous. I really did, you know. But that was my truck, you know. Actually, I had that truck in a article in Sport magazine on the cover, and I was changing the tire. It was a prop and all, but I drove trucks, you know. That's what I did. And when Bert called me up, Bert called the house, and he was talking to my mom, and I said to my mom when we got home, I said, Mom, I said, did you notice who it was? He goes, no, Joe. He goes, Burt Reynolds called, and he's going to call you back tonight from California. Boom. Hal Needham calls me back. Hal Needham was the director and writer of the movie. And that's how I wound up getting in the movie. And needless to say, Burt owned a race team. Not Burt. Hal Needham owned Smokey and the Bandit. Harry Gant grabbed the 33 car, which was sponsored by Skoll, which I became a representative of Skoll. But, you know, it's a roundabout way through everything. And then Burt and I became really good friends.
So which was the crazier phone call? The one you got from the Jets or the one you got from Burt Reynolds?
Burt Reynolds. Without a doubt. You know what I mean? Football's nothing. Acting, it's funny. I told the story today. For the first time, they brought it out of me. These guys I was talking to today, and George Firth was an actor. If you look him up, you'll remember his face and all. He's on a million movies he did, you know. And he was in Cannonball Run 2 with us, all right? And so George had an acting school in New York City. So we're sitting around, sitting around with the lunch trucks and all on the movie set, and I'm talking to him. We've got along really well. And I said, George, listen, do me a favor. I says, when we get back to the city, in the off season, how about maybe I come look you up in the acting school and stuff like that? And he goes, well, Joe, he goes, you're a really good football player, aren't you? And I said, yeah, they tell me. He goes, no, you're really good, aren't you? And I said, yeah. He goes, stick with the football.
Hint.
I get it. Okay, I got you, So it was like real subtle. No, you suck. That's enough. Funny.
Oh, God. Well, at least you didn't try and sing like Terry Bradshaw did.
Oh, yeah,
okay?
he was, yeah.
Oh, that was another
He
one.
actually thought he could. That's the bad part.
That's the bad part about it. Absolutely. I remember George Firth now. I looked him up, so I remember the face. Absolutely.
George was the doctor in the Smokey and the Bandit too. You know, it was a lot of fun.
Jamie Farr.
Yeah, another one. Yeah. So, Joe Frazier, Burt Reynolds, Jackie Gleason.
Yeah.
I mean, about heavyweights.
Yeah.
I mean,
you talk about what I did. There was a funny one going into the scene where I go in the scene and I reach in and I grab Jackie Gleason's badge and I crush it. And he comes out and he, his heart meter that he has is going, dee, 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 dee. And he basically goes, much obliged. I said to him, your badge is crooked, sir. So I get out, and the first time I went to do it, I was so nervous. It was Jackie Gleason because I hadn't really talked to him yet until we went and sat down on the side, him and Bert and I, and he knew that Bert and I were friends, so he became a friend of mine. He was not the most friendly guy out there,
Yeah.
So anyway, I reached in to grab it, and I said, couldn't do it. Because Hal goes, all right, listen, Joe, what we're going to do is you reach in, we're going to come out, we're going to cut, we're going to crush the badge, you grab it again, and we're going to come away like you did it. I said, F you. I'll crush the badge. Now, I don't know if you've ever had a steel sheriff's badge.
No.
It's hard. And pointy. Yeah. So here's the reason. Okay, so I reach in and I'm going to do it. Now you open your big mouth, asshole. You know, it's like, here I go. So I reach in to grab the badge and I crush his badge and I walk away. And that scene where you see me walking back to the truck, my hand's bleeding. Okay,
Oh, no.
Now see right there. Yeah, you can't tell. It's my left hand.
Okay.
My left hand, you can't see it, but my left hand is bleeding because I crushed the badge. I cut my whole freaking hand.
Oh, man.
Like I had to do this. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right,
yeah.
The guy gave me the way out and all that. You know, but
How about
so-
them hijinks? Yeah,
Wow.
that's unreal. Oh, this is great. Joe Klecko in studio with us today. Pro Football Hall of Famer, class of 2023, in town for the residency program. And Joe, why was it important for you to be a part of this program? Because you come back, right? Every summer, guys come back and they're here and everything. But the Hall of Fame is saying, you know what? Let's reach out and see how many guys we can get to come back. And a lot have responded. You were one of them. Why'd you want to be a part of this?
Well, it's really cool, Canton, Ohio. It really is. And, you know, you don't understand it because you're from here in a way. The town that is a throwback town. It's an honest, hardworking town. Like Jeff and I ride around and I say to him all the time, like, geez, whiz, it's there's not a lot of cars here, but it's so clean, it's nice, and it's still a decent town from the old ways, And I grew up in a town, Chester, Pennsylvania, was the old ways, but man, you don't want to go there now. You know what I mean? You don't want to walk down the street at midnight. You know what I mean?
Right.
So those kind of things are what you see here, and the way people like the guys, the old timers today. At the luncheon, I said to them, I bet there's a few guys in here older than me, I said, and, I'm 72. So, it's not like, this was it was the geriatric group, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
But that's the one reason coming back here, that, and there's one thing, I haven't mentioned it to Jeff, but there was a great old nun, her name was Mother Angelica. She had a show on television, and she was cured by a woman from Canton, Ohio. She had polio, and she was cured on her show, on her TV show. This woman, whoever this is, and I don't know, you can look it up, and I want to visit. They have a shrine to this woman at her home. She's dead now, and Mother Angelica's dead too. But it's from Canton, Ohio.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I'm a very Catholic guy. I really, my religion's important to me. And I'm dying now that I've been here, so many times. I'm going to get to see this. And so it's good for you guys. Look it up. It's
Okay.
I don't know who the woman's name is.
Right.
I don't know if he's trying to do that now or not. But
We may get some people listening right now that might call in and tell us.
And it's here in Canton.
Okay.
And I've heard about it 100 times from Mother's show. And it's EWTN,
Right.
It's called Eternal World Network. And it's a Catholic, it's still on,
Okay.
to this day, and they air her reruns and stuff. Plus, they have, daily masses and stuff they run on it. But it's something I still want to find in
That's
Canton.
amazing. I'm the historian. I grew up here my whole life. A story like that usually doesn't escape me. So we're going to find out and get to the bottom of that
That's
one.
amazing. You
It
guys-
really is.
Yeah, it really is.
Because we're right behind you. I just turned 63, and we remember so vividly your career.
Yeah.
Because it was a time when we were kids, and we were looking up to guys that were just 5 or 10 years older than us, playing the game that we all grew to love. And it's amazing. Because does it ever hit you that, hey, man, not only am I a Pro Football Hall of Famer, but when you played in the NFL, man, did you ever pinch yourself and say, what,
God, yeah.
even if it's a New York Sack Exchange or whatever else, that, man, I made it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to us.
The thing about it is in your family orientation, your family world, even that alone. Like my son Dan played too, which was really unique. He wound up
Super Bowls.
3 Super Bowl rings and
Wow.
stuff like that, and that's really cool stuff. But to even be mentioned, even to be mentioned, to make it, to do it, and then to go to this level, like I'm 366, okay, and you think about it, 30,000 guys played this game. It is absolutely. I'm still pinch myself about it to this day, about how grateful I am on being elected to the Hall of Fame. It really
Did you, when you retired, were you expecting to be a Hall of Famer? Did you want to be a Hall of Famer, and then it took a while to get in?
I'm never retired. I'm not going to retire.
Okay, all right. Retired from the NFL. How's that? Okay.
Did I expect to be put in? Listen, there was a guy by the name of Paul Zimmerman. I don't know if you remember him. He used to write for Sports Illustrated. Yep. Zimmer was a really great writer and all, and we were great friends. New Yorker, and he took up my advocacy, right when I retired. But then he died, and when Paul died, nobody picked up my and Joe Horrigan told me one day, Joe DeLamalure almost had me in by what he was saying about me back then, and the voters were asking, he was 3 different positions. Yeah, but what was he? Was he an end? Was he a tackle? Right. Was he a nose tackle? And DeLamalure goes, does it matter? He dominated that position. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
And so how could you question that? And, I'm like sitting back going, yeah, Joe, you're right.
Hell yeah. Right. Here it is. Hall of Fame guard Joe DeLamalure added, you can't think of his 10-year period without him. I had to block Joe Green and Merlin Olsen when I was playing, and believe me, Joe Klecko was equal to those 2 guys. I mean, that's high praise right there.
You're in a different category there.
Absolutely. I mean, that's not your average player.
And you have no idea. I still pay Joe to this day.
So when you do get the call after all these years, 2020, boom, you're a Hall of Famer. For the emotions, what was that like? How'd you find out?
Well, I found out the day, I was a finalist and I knew that and all that, but I never really found out to the day Joe came and knocked on the door. It's a great story, and it's almost like I feel like everybody in the world has heard this by now. But when they came to the door and Joe came to the door, so my wife wanted me to stay home that day because she had to go to the doctor.
Okay,
like she doesn't go to the doctor. My wife doesn't get sick. I'm like, what she has to stay home.
Right.
So I'm all right. I'll stay home. My daughter's there also. Now she's younger. She's 29 now, so 4 years ago she was just starting in the business world, and she's home too. And I'm like, "What do you guys? All right, well, are you going to the doctor or what? Do we have to go? I got stuff I got to do." She goes, "Well, no, Joe, they have to call me, and we have to wait till what they say." All right, well, order lunch, I said. So they supposedly order lunch, but they lied to me. Okay, so somebody's knocking at the door. First of all, nobody knocks at my door. They ring the doorbell,
Right.
Second of all, I'm waiting for them to get the door. I'm like, this is bullshit. So I go over and I'm going to open the door, and here I open the door and it's Joe Namath with 5 cameras behind him, and there's Jim Porter, and I'm like, I think I know what this is. I'm just I'm excited. So I throw open the door and I said, honey, Joe Namath came to lunch. So it's because the first thing I was thinking of, I'm opening the door for DoorDash.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're going to bring me lunch. So here it's Namath with all these cameras and everything, and it was just what an exhilarating. And the good one at the Hall of Fame was the punchline when they asked me. I got up on the stage and they said, Joe, well, what was it like when Joe Namath came to open to knock on your door? And I said, it sucked. And the whole crowd went, whoa. He goes, I thought he was bringing lunch. It was DoorDash. Oh, and everybody broke up laughing because, I actually was thinking that I never it was the greatest thing they put. My daughter was the best. My daughter told Jim Porter, he goes, my mom can make my dad do anything. Don't worry about
so
it.
good.
Oh, yeah.
I go back and I watch all these induction speeches, and I always wonder, if you had a chance and you knew months in advance that you were going to write the speech, is there ever a chance where you come back and say, man, I wish I would have done this a little bit differently? Or if you had a second chance to redo the speech, is there someone that you would maybe include in it? Or is it perfect when it goes down?
I don't know. I never second guessed it, I guess, because I wrote it 6 times. You know what I mean?
Figured.
And there was, they only give you a certain amount of time,
right.
So you're going to think of this, everything that they wanted you to think of. So I don't think there was anything I missed. I don't think, but they can't. You can't give your whole life scenario in that 10 minutes. You know, it's tough. So what I did during the 10 minutes, I think I got the important people. I think there were people that were important in my life at the time I talked about, and I think it worked out pretty good. I don't think I missed anybody that I should have not missed.
Because I think it's a perfect speech because you get everything in there. You do a little bit of faith. You do a lot of family. You tip the cap to your former coaches and everything, and then you take a shot at your son, Danny, and I thought it was hysterical.
Yeah. Well, I had to put somewhat of the humor in there to it, you know. And I said to him, I said, yeah, you know, wait till you get one of these, you know. I said to him about the bus, you know. And of course, there's nobody you want more to have it than your children.
Sure.
And for him to have Super Bowl rings, it's fantastic. And I told people later, I said, yeah, Dan brings him over once a month and I shine him. He allows me to do that, you know. So it's kind of funny. And what I do, so I'm coming out for this weekend. And, you know, Joe, don't forget your gold jacket. So what did I forget? My ring. I left the ring at home, yeah.
Yeah, no. When you think back to your playing time, and we like those stories, but I'm like the football junkie from the standpoint, all right, who was the best you played against? Who gave you, you know, time? Who had your number? Whether it's baseball, football, basketball, whatever it is. So when you think back on offensive linemen that you went up against, who comes to mind?
Well, it's hard. Reason being is because way I play. I didn't play one position, you know. And people always want to say to me, you know, who was this and who was it. So when I played it different, the best that I can do with that answer is at tackle. The best tackle I ever played against was Anthony Munoz.
Okay.
The best guard I ever played against was John Hanna. And the best center. Now that's a tough one there on me because I played against Mike Webster and Dwight Stevenson. And to me, the two of those two guys they had different styles, but their styles were great. Mike was a real hard-nosed, strong guy. Dwight was a very quick hands guy, which from fighting, I was a good hands guy. So I could combat what he had. And then Mike, I competed in all them strongman contests, you know, so I can compete with him. So those were the ones that I
all Hall of Famers.
Yeah. All Hall
so
of
there,
Famers.
I mean, that makes complete sense then.
Joe, I caught part of your speech last night at the Symposium for Heroin Addiction, and I thought it was fantastic. And part of it that really caught me was the fact that you said you had 15 surgeries and 2 total knee replacements and sepsis.
I had 2 total knee replacements in 6 months.
How are you here?
Yeah, that's what everybody says, you know. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, guys talk about it. I had one knee done completely in 2018, which turned out great. And then I had this one done 2 years ago. I had a scope done. That's when I got the sepsis. And then I got put in a hospital. And what they did is they cut the femur side off and replaced it with, you know, the cap that they put in when they replaced your knee. And then the bottom part of the knee, this is the femur. That's the tibia. Yeah.
Tibia.
So anyway, so the tibia side of it, they put in platelets, and is all the medicine to cure the sepsis. And then they released me from the hospital, and they said, Joe, there's not much we can do for you here. We're going to send you. I said, send me home in the pain that I'm in. So I had a real good friend of mine as a doctor at another hospital, and he took me in, and he brought me in, and they washed my knee out within the 4 weeks. Every week they washed it out. They'd cut me open again, and they washed it all. I said, how'd you do it? He goes, Joe, just like a fire hose. He goes, I can bring you in and wash out your whole knee from the infection. And they finally figured out what the infection was after 4 weeks, okay? And then they put me back together, and they sent me home, you know, for a while. And then I came back, and that's when I had the partial knee. And then, not the partial knee, I replaced the top one. But then when I came back for my final knee replacement, they had both sides done at that time, and that's what I have in now, okay? So I had it in July of 2004, and I had, you know, that's when I got the sepsis, had a partial knee, come back and redid it again in 2005 when I had a total knee replacement. So,
wow.
Yeah, very different. Very
Yeah,
different.
very
unreal.
different. It is, yeah. Thrilled you're still with us, obviously, and having you in along with us. We're closing in on 60, right? At least I think we've done 60 Hall of Famers now.
I lost count, but the only thing I know is that each time it gets better.
Yeah, it does, and that's
It's
the great
awesome.
thing. Everybody's so different, and like we said earlier, the path everybody has taken, a different path for everybody.
The
and
story
yours,
becomes better.
oh,
man.
it's amazing. And yours, not only on the football field, but off the football field with the truck driving and the movies and sparring, knocking out Joe Frazier, in the ring and
Well,
everything
be careful
like that.
with that one. Well, Joe's not alive.
He's
anymore.
not, so we're safe, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So, just amazing stories. Thank you so much for coming in. We know they have you running around doing a lot this week. It means a lot to us, though, and our listeners for you to come in and share some of these great stories with us.
Oh, it
today.
really. And then to guys like yourselves, to me, it's a joy to sit and talk to you about it because you know about the game and you get to talk to people about the game.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not like you don't have no insight and you're talking off the cuff. You know what you're talking about. So it makes it fun for me, too.
And you've done
Love
some
it.
media work, too, so you understand, too, what, for
Yeah,
us,
I used
preparation
to
and
do
all that.
all the pre and post games for the Jets.
Was that painful to do?
At times, but the thing about it is I keep running to do it, and the worst part about it is getting in the city during the holidays.
Can't imagine.
You're taking the train and not taking the train, and trying to get in there on time and stuff. So I said, listen, guys, this is what I want to do. This. They said, we're not paying you that. All right, have a nice day.
That's it.
That's it. I was done.
If they would have paid you,
right.
you would have put up with it, right?
For 2 weeks.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I mean, you're talking about a game you know everything about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's easy.
The next time you come back, you can tell our listeners how beautiful old Cleveland Municipal Stadium was, all right, from your time playing there.
Without a doubt.
We'll do a podcast off the air so you can tell them what you really thought of it. On the air, we'd get fined by the FCC, all right?
Exactly.
Hey, Joe, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Continued good health to you, and we'll see you again, all right?
Exactly. Thanks, guys.
There is number
appreciate it.
366 or number 73 or 72 in college, Joe Klecko, Pro Football Hall of Famer, as part of the Hall of Fame residency program, joining us here on WHBC.